evening and welcome back. My name is Ep2-Pontsho Mpelo and this is our second episode. I hope you are going to enjoy it. I'm really excited of tonight's episode because we are reviewing one of the books of my favorite author, Dudu Dube. I love Dudu. Dudu is my favorite author. I discovered her last year and she's been my favorite author. If you haven't read her books, I recommend that you do. She's got a beautiful writing style, very simple, easy to understand, no tricky idioms, and it's a local content, and I think it's easy to relate. So if you haven't read her books, I recommend that you do. Just a quick introduction. This is a Hlomu series, and the first book of the Hlomu series is Hlomu the Wife. This one. Hlomu the Wife is the first book of the Hlomu series. The second book of the Hlomu series is Zandile The Resolute. This one. And this is the book that we're discussing tonight. Do not worry if you haven't read the book. I'm not discussing the entire book. I am only discussing an event that happened in the book, and I believe it's something that we can relate to. Yeah? So this is a series of 8 Zulu brothers from KZN. They own a successful taxi business here in Johannesburg. I'm sure you can pick it up why I said it's a local content, because they mention places that we've been to. MTN taxi rank, Bree taxi rank. So these 8 Zulu brothers, they are handsome, they are rich, they are dangerous, they are violent, and very powerful. So Zandile is the wife of the first brother, Nkosana, and Zandile was arrested for about 17 years for the murder of her mother. Zandile killed her mother because her mother wanted her to kill her unborn child. So Zandile decided to kill her mother to protect her unborn child. Yeah? So the past came back to haunt Zandile on the day that she was getting married. And on that day, her second child, her second son, was only a year old. I'm not sure how old was the second son, the first son, but the last son was only a year old, and she was arrested on the day of her wedding. 2 sons, I think the first son is Snwabile and the second son is Lwandle. I hope I have the names right, but I think so. Snwabile and Lwandle. Yeah? So Zandile and Nkosana, they decided that they are not going to tell their children the truth because Zandile was afraid that she might not come back from jail. So they came to an agreement that they are not going to tell their children the truth about Zandile. For 17 years, kids grew up knowing that their mother left them because elders decided that they're going to hide the truth. So this is something that we do as parents. We hide the truth from our children as a way to protect them from that truth. We hide the truth from our children with the belief that they are too young to understand. I'm sure there's many other stories that you can think of right now that can draw you close to this topic. It's very sad. It really is sad. And I don't think when we say that we are protecting them, we actually mean that we're protecting them. I think we are protecting ourselves as parents. Imagine telling a child at a young age that you killed your own mother. They'll obviously think that you're a bad person. And that's not how we want our children to look at us. We want them to see us as role models. We want them to see us as their heroes. So I don't think when we say that we are hiding the truth to protect them, it's actually that we are protecting our own image. That's what I think. So 17 years later, Zandile is released from jail, and now also kids are adults now, and they are told the truth. Only then they are told the truth, and they didn't take it very well, which I understand, and I can only imagine what they had to deal with at that time. After 17 years, that's when they actually know the truth about their mother. They were only told that their mother left them, and after 17 years, when Zandile is released, then they decide, parents, to tell them the truth. This is what I want us to discuss, whether parents are right by hiding the truth from their children. Is it right to wait until they are old enough to tell them the truth? And if so, how do you then correct what you have deprived them of for not telling the truth? Here's what I think. Listen, we may want to think that children are young and their brain is so spongy and they are too young to understand things. That is correct, I agree, right? Children at a young age, they aren't able to break information and understand it in a way that an adult would, right? What I mean by this is children are not capable to take information, break it, analyze it, and understand it in a way that an adult would. If you tell a child at a young age that you killed your mother, the only thing that they will take from that, the only thing that their tiny spongy brain can take from that is key points from that information. My mother killed my granny and my mom went to jail, therefore my mother is a bad person. That's the only thing that they can make out of that information. So that's why I'm saying that unfortunately kids at a very young age, they are not capable of breaking information, analyzing it, and understand it in a way that an adult would. And I think this is the reason why we then decide not to tell them the truth, because we avoid them to have obviously their lack of understanding. We do know that they won't have a full understanding that an adult would. But children do listen. Children do listen, and this is the reason why they do not forget easily. So the trick here is to communicate with children in a way that they understand. Yeah, we need to start communicating with children in a way that they understand. For instance, kids only do 3 things. They're either playing, sleeping, or watching cartoons. And what I like about cartoons these days is they cover beautiful themes. Things like technology, science, even the most basics of life. That's what cartoons do. That's what cartoons does these days. They have beautiful themes, and those are the themes that helps in developing a child's mind. You understand? So, for instance, you can pick an episode in one of the cartoons that a child has watched. Let's say Mr. Bean. You can take an episode from Mr. Bean and make an example and say, Nana, remember when Mr. Bean was arrested? And you do know that Mr. Bean is a good person, but Mr. Bean was arrested. And remember that Mr. Bean was visited by his family in prison. That's exactly what is going to be happening now. That's exactly what happened with Mommy. Your mom is a good person, just like Mr. Bean, and your mom also is in jail, and we are going to be visiting your mom in jail, just like Mr. Bean. And your mom also is a good person, not a bad person, just like Mr. Bean. Do you understand that already you have told them not the entire truth, but at least there's some truth in what you told that child? You understand? So that's what I mean by communicating with children in a way that they understand. That's what we need to do as parents. That's what we need to learn as parents. Imagine if you decide that you're going to wait until your children are old enough to tell them the truth. And you do that because children are very curious and you're avoiding them to be asking you many questions if you tell them at a young age the entire truth. But tell me, what would you do if you decide that you are going to wait until they are old enough to tell them the truth? What will you do if the same child comes back from school or comes back from playing outside and someone in the community told that child the truth? Because unfortunately, we can't protect them. We can't protect them in school or when they are around in the street. So what would you say? How will you explain to that child when they come back to you, Babuzu Kuti, I hear that my mom murdered my granny and she's now in jail, and you said that she left us. Well, understand, how do you then explain? So I think it is important that we try and communicate with our children in a way that they will understand. Kids, they really listen and they don't forget easily. And I think if we find a better way of communicating with them, then at least we're making the situation more easier for both them, the kids, and us as parents. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the trick here is to, as they grow up, the trick here is to keep adding more truth to what you have already told them. Remember, as they grow up, their mind is also maturing, and as they grow up, you add bits and pieces of the truth as they grow up. And by the time they are old enough, they know the entire truth, because you've been adding the truth as they grow up. You've been gradually adding bits and pieces of the truth as they grow up, as they were growing up. Do you understand? So by the time they are old enough, now they know the entire truth. And you know what will happen? They can independently make a decision for themselves. They can rather say, listen, I'm not going to be seeing Umama in jail anymore, because I think what she did is very bad, is very wrong. So I'm not going to be visiting her anymore. That's her deciding, or that's him deciding that I'm not going to be doing this anymore, because of now they are old enough to break that information, analyze it, and understand it, and they now making that decision to say that I think Umama was wrong and I'm not going to be seeing her or visiting her in jail. Do you understand? So they independently making that decision for themselves. Do you understand? Or they can break that information, analyze it and understand it, and they'll continue seeing their mom in jail. You understand? So at least you're allowing them to make that decision, because as they grow up, you gradually add that bits and pieces of information until when they are old enough, and that information now is the entire truth. And do you know what will happen when a situation is like that, where you've involved children from a young age, trying to communicate with them in a way that they understand? Do you know what will happen once their mom is released from jail? Do you know what will happen? The same children will be the ones that support their mother when they come back from jail. When the mother comes back from jail, the same children will be there to support their mother to deal with the trauma of being in jail for 17 years. The same children will be there to support their mother to deal with the public. The same children will be there to support their mother to now deal with how things have changed, because I'm sure after 17 years, things have really changed. Do you understand? And with the same children again will be there to support their mother to even deal with the guilt of killing her own mom during that time. So that's actually what's going to happen. That's how the situation will play out. Do you understand? Beautifully, without any rifts in between, without dealing with kids who are angry because you've been hiding the truth from when they were young, and now when they are old, they are told the truth, and then you have to deal with all of that. So if you really involve kids from a young age, by the time Zandile comes back from jail, it's happy family. It's happy family. The same kids are there to support her to deal with the trauma of being in jail for 17 years. The same kids are there to support her to deal with the guilt of killing her mother. Those same kids are there to support her to deal with the public, because they were able to know the truth from a young age. But from a young age, it was just a small, tiny information that suited their mind at that time. So that's what we need to do as parents. I really do think we need to do that, because I don't really think when we say that we are protecting them from the truth, we are protecting them. We are protecting ourselves. Rona as parents, we're not protecting kids. One understand. So let's talk more on all our social platforms. Let me know what you think. I really would want to hear what you guys think. Remember, this show is a platform to discuss all these societal issues, and the more we discuss about these societal issues, it will really help us to deal with these issues. So please do let me know what you think on all our social platforms. Instagram, skull.session, Facebook, Skull Session, and on YouTube, Skull Session with Pontsho and Tumza. Thank you so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to engage with you guys. Until next time, this is Pontsho Mpelo. Lejamas jatu litebelele Ngwanyana wa Mosotho go golela ko Matswaneng Pampristat 8566. Thank you so much. Until next time. Thank you.